Hello everyone. July the 9th, 1 Kaban in the Mayan calendar. The first day of the Earth cycle, the 13th 20-day cycle, which is said to be the dreaming cycle, where we dream a new existence into existence. So this is a very, very powerful 13 days we're entering July the 9th of intentionally creating the vision for the new earth, what we want it to be. So this is big, and we have great support. The universe is already dancing, is already celebrating. Have you seen the latest crop circles? Well, just before we go there, tomorrow is really, or actually already starting. Today is a big day, and it gets better and better and better. It started with July 1st's Mercury-Venus conjunction, Mercury exactly behind the Sun, which is the culmination of a 4-month period of realization, understanding of using our senses, probably what Mercury is all about. It was just on the heels of Mercury turning retrograde, and simultaneously there was a heliocentric Jupiter-Pluto square, which is intense, rapid growth, multiplication, and an enormous solar boost that created. And then on its heels, on the 6th of July, we had the Sun-Sirius conjunction, and just hours later Earth was farthest away from Earth in a yearly cycle. All these amazing synchronicities. You can go back and watch my previous 2 videos where I give you the fine print there. But let's keep going into new territory. Today, the 9th of July, Aspolus moves the second time into Cancer, at 0 Cancer. This is big. This is going into the watery secrets, you could say, from air to water. Aspolus is the one which is tracing secrets and looking behind every stone. A very investigative mind. Can get a bit morbid at first, but it is definitely that energy which pulls us into the deep. And let me just throw in one more observation. July the 2nd was the real turning point of the tide. That was the day when Venus was starting to move slower than Mars. Venus here today or tomorrow at 26 Leo, going 3 more degrees before turning retrograde, and Mars here at 29:58 at the time when Aspolus is entering Cancer, which in itself is powerful. This Mars Pallas conjunction, which actually is exact today on the heels of Mars entering Virgo. So this Mars in itself is a powerhouse. And with Venus, Mars, and the Black Moon here in Leo. Okay, this is my thought. Sound of Freedom. Have you watched how it picked up in popularity? It is unbelievable. It really shows that humanity is ready to go that deep. Venus, Mars in Leo. Yes, this is sexuality, passion, very strong urges and drives. And naturally, with the Black Moon in here, showing all the dark secrets of that kind of energy, the really story of passion, the Passion of Christ comes to mind as when things get really intense. And that has just started on July the 2nd, really. Venus realized she was not able to move as fast as Mars anymore, because that's her usual pace. She moves much faster because she's much closer to the sun. In that sense, always chasing after Mars, so to say. This was the moment she realized, something is changing. She was falling short on following Mars and still moving forward, but now at slower pace. She's preparing to turn into the retrograde mode, which is that digestive mode of real self reflection, I would say. So Venus in a way is already moving backwards in her mind. Just keep this in your head as a thought. So the real change, the internalization, is on the 23rd in synchronicity, as I pointed out in my first video of July the 2nd, where I show you the conclusion where we're getting to. That is the simultaneous Venus and Chiron station, when both in sync within less than a day turn backward. That is definitely linking these two energies, Venus and Chiron. This is the healing of the feminine, of the caring side of humanity, and naturally the first big thing is to look at the dark side, which is now really bubbling up. Yes, you certainly heard Sound of Freedom. 11 million pre-sold tickets there were, versus the box office buster expected to be the new take on the Indiana Jones. Only had 7 point something million tickets pre-sold, and overall the big the revenue of that release weekend was the highest in a long time. So this is unusual for a kind of independent movie maker. And as we also learned, I mean, that big company, I don't want to say its name, it starts with a D, which has all these children fun parks, all the big movie productions for kids and such. They had bought the rights for that Sound of Freedom and had put it in a drawer. I heard it was sitting for 3 years in a drawer until some wealthy individual stepped in. Tommy Robbins, I heard, was one of them, helping this movie to really get the publicity it needs. And the time is perfect, the time is ripe. There couldn't have been a better release date than just in the wake of Venus realizing, okay, now something is changing in a big way. We're coming to a culmination. We have crossed almost the culmination point. Maybe we're still within a few meters of Mount Everest. That's how it feels. And then the inhale starts. And then my thought went to this. If you have the intention to blow a candle out, the first thing you have to do is pull air in an unusual, intentional fashion, to have the power to then blow the candle out. You get the picture? It is the thought, the action actually, to blow out the candle starts in that very moment when the thought is in your mind, and it translates into your body's action of starting a deep inhale. Okay, that is the moment Venus will turn retrograde. This is now these 20 days between the 2nd of July, when Venus realizes, okay, things getting slower, we are moving towards a culmination. Between and the moment she really turns retrograde, that is kind of those split seconds we are starting to generate the thought of wanting to blow out the candle as an allegory. So what I want to say is the action of the outblowing will start when Venus turns direct again, naturally. So the whole inhalation really starts with the 23rd of July. That's why this moment is so important, that this really will be a full Venus cycle. So to bring my conclusion to a full circle here, it is the most important point, in my opinion now, in a planet's cycle is the moment it starts turning retrograde. That is also the farthest in zodiacal longitude a planet will be for quite a while, reaching a top, a peak, a pinnacle, and then from there on retreating, inhaling, again restoring energy to push forward into new territory. So that is the moment. That's why this is so super important, this phase now of changing gears. And yes, with the Black Moon, Venus and Mars and Pallas here naturally, which is the factor of integration, of understanding the patterns, the structures. It is the intelligent analysis, which then also is the agent of transformation. Like the artist, that's the way an artist processes her emotions, is by doing works of art about it, and that's exactly what it is, a transcendence, a transference of that energy to a higher level, and an integration at the same time. That is what is going on collectively as we speak in these next few months. So this is really culmination period. I want to also point out this 26th degree of Gemini. We talked about that back in October 2022. That was when on the 30th of October Mars turned retrograde at 25:36 it was. And there was another coincidence of that 26th degree of Gemini. That's also where, well, it has been super active. Actually, here I have it. Yes. Well, it has, yeah, it's just a really powerful degree. It is the degree, and the Sabian symbol is here a winter frost. That's when, well, let me read it to you, because it is really a powerful symbol. And it has been so dead on with what we have seen in these last 10 months already. Since Mars turned retrograde again, that would be the start of a full Mars cycle. So the 26th degree of Gemini is frost-covered trees against winter skies. The keynote, the revelation of archetypal form and essential rhythm of existence. There's no leaves on the trees. You see through, you see into the structural elements, and they are enhanced by the winter frost. At this third level of exteriorization, the last 10 degrees of Gemini are about bringing things out into the open. A contact with archetypes and pure forms of individual selfhood is to be sought. And that's the quest we have been on. Also with the characteristic images, symbols of the culture. Externals are left behind. The leaves have fallen off, so to say. This is a step beyond pruning. It is rather a process of removal of all superficialities of existence. How about that? I guess we're in full process of that. Cyclically, nature helps us to reach this state of bare reality. It is not that we experience the Buddhist void, shunya, but rather than we reach the essence of our individual being, the form of pure selfhood, which is the structuring power underneath all external features. all that belong to the leaf realm. Yes, all the leaves have gone. Essentialization is the key word here, and again, this is the book I'm reading from Dane Rudyard, his interpretation of the Sabian symbols. Anyway, I thought this was super powerful, as Aspolus really is starting that shift, and that is happening within less than a day from here when I record that. You see the moon right now is at 13 degrees 33 Aries, so this is just a little side note. You always can see when I did the recording. I have here always the live readings of where the planets are. This is a feature of Solar Fire, the program I'm using, which I would promote. If you're an astrologer, you probably know it well. Anyway, so on the heels of that Aspolus change, Mars is entering Leo, and then just hours later, on the 11th, Mercury is entering Leo. Another big lift up in frequency to a more visible level. In Cancer, Mercury has been digesting, has been coming to terms, which was thrown at us, so to say. And now into the combustion frequency of the early Leo degrees. This is, yeah, it will get quite wild, and this is all coming in a very beautiful way of existence, really claiming ground back. And yes, let's now go into the main two events of tomorrow, which really are lightening up the scene. Yes, I have written here in my notes, the universe is already celebrating. It just really kicked into high gear with today's Kaban energy, that earthquake energy rattling from deep within. You hear the thunder in the far distance, something is rolling in. That's kind of the frequency I'm getting. And then we have that, right, that is where I'm gonna go here next. Okay, I have always too many things to share, so I will have to keep it a bit short because I also have to run. I have a, yes, anyway. So, could Betelgeuse explode in our lifetimes? This was the headline in the space weather page today. According to a new study, the answer is yes. Betelgeuse is the brightest star in the constellation of Orion, as you probably know. I just want to show you here quickly. This is where Betelgeuse is right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It disappeared on me again. There's it here. Yep. Here. See, this is Betelgeuse. The left upper shoulder of the structure of Orion, which is probably one of the most prominent constellations in the night sky, as it's circumpolar in the northern hemisphere. That means we can see it through all seasons. Betelgeuse being the brightest of them all, ready to go supernova. Who knows, might be possible. Now this latest research is implying that it is getting really close. A team of astronomers led by this Hideyuki Sayo from the Tohoku University find that Betelgeuse has puffed up far larger than previously thought, more than 1,200 times wider than the Sun. This means the giant star may be running out of carbon fuel. After carbon is exhausted in the core, the core collapse leading to a supernova explosion is expected in a few tens of years, writes the author. Now, they probably don't want to be overly optimistic, but well, it might even happen this year, because that's what I wrote about it. I said, a supernova in our close galactic backyard. This most definitely would be a kind of cosmic event to mirror a quantum leap. Wouldn't this resonate with the magic we will be enveloped in celebrating the arrival of the long-predicted Golden Age? A rare culmination, a truly cosmic dream finally manifesting? Okay, I was curious. I wanted to see. And what I did was first find where Betelgeuse is right now at 2904 Gemini. So just a day prior to summer solstice, when within itself is a very powerful prominent spot here, right at the short before the sun peaks to the summer solstice, where really the culmination of the year. That's really summer solstice, because 90% of people live on the northern hemisphere. So this is the height of summer beginning and the turn of direction, the inward motion again towards winter solstice. This is that very last final degree. So yes, Betelgeuse is in a super powerful position to start with. And this was the chart I got for Greenwich when the sun aligned, and what you see here is Jupiter at the 7th house cusp. This is beautiful in itself. This is shows an expansion, and with Jupiter close by, so we might still have to wait a little bit. Maybe it is with the upcoming Jupiter Uranus conjunction in connection, which definitely would be kind of resonating with some real opening into a whole new direction, which is the signature of 2024 in a general way, but we are already approaching that, so we are already feeling that conjunction to start closing in. So I found this chart really interesting also with the Moon-Venus conjunction here. Yes, still quite a bit away, but it is the Moon approaching in Cancer here with the Pluto opposition. It is overall a super beautiful chart. Also Aspolus, Chaos here in the very imminent neighborhood, in that same cluster of energy, together with Juno, which is all about that uniting of humanity, which we are seeing happening in front of our eyes. People are finally realizing whom their real enemy is. I guess that's, if we put it in a nutshell, and that is the unison which is happening on the as a natural consequence. I guess there's no surprise there. So anyway, so we are getting into beautiful territory. So this is tomorrow then, Venus at the galactic center. Exactly, it's a sunrise point. I mean, I can't really say more emphatically. This is an enormously beautiful chart. Venus is really coming into power in a whole new way. And Venus again at its most basic is caring and loving what is. Yes, exactly, loving what is. Whatever it is. Even if you're in your final minutes before your last breath, It doesn't matter. Today is a good day to die, as the natives say. And that's the attitude we are really getting into. There is so much more possible now all of a sudden, and this is in sync, in harmony with letting go of all the superfluous. Again, think of the naked trees and the winter frost bringing the structures out into the open. Yes, that's what's happening, big time. And then Neptune, I mean, yes, you have to go back to my last recordings. I go more into the detail there. I just now want to, in a fast sequence, show you a few more charts, which you will more see in depth analyzed in my previous video. But I really felt it was time to just make a more concise, shorter one here, to really show you the extraordinariness of our present times. This is the build-up to something probably of the magnitude we haven't seen in 26,000 years, and this time it goes in a positive direction, versus last time it was going the other way, but that was okay too, because that's when back then the foundations were laid for what's happening now. That's in a nutshell what I have been telling you for months on end, in sync with all the sources I'm listening to. The Nine, the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of Nine, one of my sources, they are very clear about that. We are dreaming a new existence into a reality. Neptune is that dreaming energy. We are transcending Neptune's frequencies, bringing it into a whole new on a whole new level. Neptune is the final of the big planets. I mean, it's obvious. Neptune is where things will have to change. This is kind of the shell of the egg, if you want. It's also interesting that Neptune has a most circular orbit. Yes, Venus is a bit more circular, but the particular aspect of that is because Neptune's circular motion takes 165 years once around the Sun. Now, because in the big planets Jupiter and Saturn, yes, Uranus, Neptune included, but mostly Jupiter is pulling the Sun out of the center of our solar system a little bit all the time. And because of that, Jupiter creates kind of that unrest in a way, that rotating around the center, versus Neptune holds the big picture together. Now listen to that. Every other planet has very fixed points where it's farthest and closest from the Sun. Well, yes, the Moon not. The Moon is a big exception. But all the other planets, this is very well defined in space. That only changes with the precession, which is the same. Basically, all the stars in the skies are moving against the precessional cross, the four main suspension points into space, if you want. So what I wanna say is that, okay, now I lost the train of my thought. Just give me a second here. So yes, Neptune. Circular orbit. Because of that subtle rotation of the Sun's core, the solar system's center in that sense, around the barycenter, as it's called, B-A-R-Y center, you can look that up. That is... Anyway, so the farthest and closest distance of that 165-year orbit of Neptune changes all the times in every one of its cycles, every 165-year period. These points move depending on the sun's wobble within. It's kind of like the you could think of the yolk of the egg. So the egg is alive. The yolk is kind of moving within, but what keeps the whole thing in place within that little wobble is Neptune's orbit. So Neptune is really the one which makes all the difference, and Neptune has been so powerfully lined out, highlighted in all these past important charts of the last few months. Just remember the Pluto ingress back into Capricorn, where we had a dead-on moon Neptune conjunction. I have shown you all that in the previous videos. Please go back if you have missed it. It's really, really beautiful how the astronomical alignments of these planets are giving us one clear message after the other. And that's what astrology basically is, to understand the patterns and then see the outcomes, compare it. That's what we have been doing for thousands of years. And so I'm basically not telling you anything new. I'm just showing you what is happening right in front of our eyes right now. Then you see that that is when tomorrow Jupiter will enter Taurus. Again, Neptune. I discussed this chart. Yes, I don't want to go too deep. Just showing you once more. And then this is then the next chapter up on the 20th of July. But right now we are really at the initial moments of something really big and beautiful to come. Okay, let me just finish here with a few more slides. So okay, let me keep it short and just go to the essence here of what I wanted to show you. So yes, the crop circles. Let's first go here. This is what it is. Are you getting the impression these beings are dancing? Yes, it's kind of the can I say it? The flower of life. But the inner part is missing. The inner part has gone into the invisible, so you only see that real flowering. Inside is emptiness, purity, and these people are dancing. 6 and the 7 is empty. If you want, it was on the 7th of the 7th month. You see, that's when this circle appeared, on the 7th of July. Anyway, let me just tell you the last bit of my story here, which I have been building. So I think Betelgeuse might be up for something sooner than later. Actually, the link to this scientific study Space Weather has been sharing today. See, it was here on their main site. That's where I quoted it from. Here is the link to be found. That's spaceweather.com. I will put the link underneath as usual in the description. So is it this? Yeah, this is the one. I haven't read it yet, but I mean, this is interesting. Okay, this doesn't go easy. Okay, it's a great great research these Japanese scientists have done, studied Betelgeuse very closely. Actually, yeah, there's one more story I wanted to show you about the Betelgeuse. In 2019, so it is the red supergiant, and in 2019 it blew up in a very big way, as the scientists concluded as they put all the pieces of the puzzles together, lost a big amount of its mass, shooting it out, and pretty much Earth directed. That's how the scientists were seeing it, as seen from Earth. Here, this is the view from Earth. So you see the energetic wave of that came right at us, and it was eventually notable to the naked eye, which started in October 2019. So it was in the early months of 2019, which was when this wave of energy was observed from Earth. So that's kind of when we also received its energy. It can't be nailed down to a day naturally, but this was a super flare in that sense, coming from Betelgeuse already back then. And yeah, I'm getting sidetracked here, but let me go back to the crop circles once more, because my story relates to that. So I went back to the circles here which started on June the 6th with that wheel of energy. Again, the 6 structure. Here you have something bigger, and this could be kind of a wave coming off it to something smaller, us, sun. Here's another one similar. You have something bigger, the sun, Earth, and the moon. Whatever that means. And here we have a sun, very clearly. A star. This is the bullseye naturally, and it is also very interesting that these lines of the circles are not correctly lined up. It's like a shift of frequency. This implies waves coming off from something, that 333 motion. Anyway, it keeps building again that kind of powerful star energy interacting with the lunar sphere. And then in July, actually I found this also interesting again, that was on the 21st of June, that was the closest day to the Sun Betelgeuse lineup, the closest to summer solstice also in that sense. Could be one crop formation of special interest, I would call it, also as it was happening not where they usually do in England, but in France. Issoire in Buis de Dôme, near Saint-Babel. Think of that what you want, the end of Babylon. Anyway, makes me think of an alignment, and if we think of Earth here in the center, this being the lunar orbit, the moon being here, the sun here, so this could be a waxing moon just shy of 30 degrees from the full moon, as probable scenario of when the interaction appears. But again, this could be still months and months away, which I'm thinking so, because first we have to really go through the thick end, but it is a light at the end of the tunnel, as I would say it. Now let's go to the July circles. So this was the one on the 4th of July, a star again, a star within a star, giving off energy. And yes, this was appearing in the same field, so they are connected, that they are really one big crop formation, I would say. So they're definitely connected. So this is the waves coming of that star, and it is a far distance in between, which would make sense, because finally the wave has traveled 584 light years. That's what I did look it up. That is the distance we have from Betelgeuse. By the way, I mean, I should say, the last time a supernova, the blow up of a star, which is really the biggest living being there is in our universe, are stars. So when a star dies, naturally this is a very dramatic event, and this, as death is on all levels, it is a transition into another dimension, and this energy then will develop new potentials, will transcend into a higher dimension of expression, because nothing ever dies, everything just changes forms. That's the old wisdom we have been given from all the living and past masters. So anyway, the long and short, it is a spectacular event when a star blows up. The last time it happened within our galaxy, solar Milky Way galaxy, was in 1604, and the one prior to that in 1572. And that was really an amazing time. If you look at it globally, this was really the time when the big discoveries were made. The Americas, yes, it was a little earlier than that. No, I think 1592, so that's right in between, and that definitely was the understanding that the Earth was a globe, and all of that, really an expansion of horizon. And so those two, 1572 and 1604, happened about 10,000 light years away within our galaxy, which, if you probably know, we are about 26,000 light years from the galactic center. So this is, let's say, and we are in the outer fringes, so whatever is within the range of 50,000 light years or so is within our galaxy. So anyway, around 10,000 light years those two were away. Compare it to Betelgeuse, 580 light years away. This will be a much bigger energetic impact. This will be a true celebration, a cosmic celebration when this happens. And Betelgeuse, at that time, it will be glowing for months on end, even visible in the day sky, certainly in the transition between daybreaks, but very bright at night, probably as bright as a full moon. So this in itself, I mean, just the last closest supernova observed was in 1987, which was in our neighbor galaxy, the Small Magellanic Cloud, which is about 170,000 light years away. Just give you the proportions. 10,000 in the 1572, 1604, 170,000, that's 17 times farther, and 1987 is definitely recorded as one of the biggest openings in frequency. In that sense, it was the harmonic convergence. Thank you for whomever gave me that word again. It was missing at the time when I last spoke of it. 1987 February was a big upgrade already, and now with a expected to be supernova that close, this is really the category of cosmic events we are speaking about here, which we might see within the next year or so. That is what that Sun Betelgeuse conjunction here of June the 20th is implying. Pallas right up here and at the center of the chart also indicates that yes, this has been predicted. Science is involved when Pallas comes in. Again, art and science, Pallas Athene, Pallas, one of the main asteroids showing us the traits and skills and hats we human beings are wearing in this present upgrade, the roles we are playing within it to make it happen as the remnants of Tiamat, or can I say it? Anyway, you know whom I'm talking about, that big planet, Marduk, right? Anyway, I guess I really should stop because I have to go. So thank you again for joining and listening. It was a pleasure, and as always, and talk to you soon. Okay, love you all. Bye bye.